The appointments are lined up.
You waiting for somebody in there?
Got an appointment.
And it's not about what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
It's not personal. It's strictly business. It's time you and me had a private talk, Winger. Step into my office.
It's Step Into My Office with Michael Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi, we'll see you now.
Ooh-wee. After the games we saw yesterday, Michael, there are some people in the NFL that need to have a seat at your table and have a little bit of a talking to. So how about we start with head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? Mike McCarthy stepping into the office after what was the largest upset loss since 2006 for Dallas as they go in an 11-point favorite against the Arizona Cardinals, lose outright. After allowing just 10 points the first 2 weeks, they let up 28 to Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals. If Mike McCarthy's in your office today, Michael, what are you talking to him about? Is it a bad sign for the future or just a bad game?
You know, you can't let this game beat you twice. So the best thing about this game is your team's going to be focused this week because you got the Patriots coming in at 425. Patriots coming off a win. The Patriots can match up to you physically. Can they match up to you talent-wise on the perimeter? We'll see. But the greatest thing about this game is any loss in the NFL for a good team is you refocus your team. And you can refocus the areas that you must improve on. You didn't lose this game because you took them lightly. You lost this game because you're 1 for 5 in the red zone. You lost this game because you had 10 penalties. You lost this game because the first 5 drives of the game, the Cardinals scored and you got behind 23-0. So all those things are fixable. All those things are in your control. And the further you stay within the things that you can control and not worry about what's tomorrow, you're going to be a much better team. Now, we know you had a ton of injuries, but that's also a good thing because your guys got a lot of playing time, you know, and you're going to need these guys the month of September, the rest of this month, October, November, and December as we go ahead. So spin this forward. Spin this forward. Take it as a positive. The media will bury you, which is great. You know, Stephen A. got his laugh in last night. He loves that more than anybody. But let them all enjoy it. But now you got your team's attention. And I think what you really got to focus on is that defense is not letting it get to their head because they let a team average 7.4 yards per carry on them.
Well, and that's
when they had no business doing that.
That's what I'm thinking, Michael, is from the media standpoint, maybe these guys were letting the clippings get to their heads a little bit, reading their own headlines, thinking that they were holier than thou. And then you have a team like Arizona that comes in and beats you down that way. You mentioned the penalties, 13 penalties for 107 yards, and offensively 1 of 5 in the red zone. So maybe this is the wake-up call that Dallas needed to get on track moving forward. How about Vance Joseph? Because, yes, he is still employed. So he is going to go sit down at the desk of our own Michael Lombardi after what was just a brutal defensive performance. And when I say brutal, I really mean historic, as the Miami Dolphins put up 70 points, 726 total yards, second most in NFL history and the most since 1951. What does Vance Joseph need to hear right now as he approaches this coming week?
Well, we got to figure out what can we do well. It's really not complicated. Like, we can't right now, when you give up 70 points and you give up 5 3-play drives or less for touchdowns, and you give up 6 plays or less, 8 or less 6 plays or less touchdowns, it's really about we do nothing well. So today we have to sit in the meeting room with the entire defensive staff and decide who are we and what we're going to be. And we're going to practice just that. Our call sheet's going to be as small as it can be because right now we can't execute. We can't tackle. We can't get off blocks. We can't stop the run. We can't stop the pass. So we're going to go back to ground zero. And you've got to go back and decide, these are the 5 things we do well. And you got to stop Curly in the boat. You know, Curly in the boat is we're going to drill one hole to let the water out of the other hole, right? So now we got 2 holes in the boat. That's what you did yesterday. You made 2 holes in the boat, and all of a sudden they got 70 points on you. That's classic Curly in the boat. You got to figure out what you do well and stay with it. And don't get bored. You may have to call cover 3 7,000 times between now and December. But at least you'll get better at playing cover 3 and you won't give up 70 points. The ball won't go over your head every play. And you'll give your team a chance to win. Your job is to give your players a chance to win. And adding more scheme isn't going to solve your problem. So you got to go back to fundamentals.
It's a far cry from the defense that made us believe Denver was a quarterback away when they went out and got Russell Wilson. So we'll see how things are able to play out here moving forward. How about Robert Saleh as he steps into your office after telling the media yesterday that his quarterback, Zach Wilson, is still the guy that gives them the best chance to win? A guy who, in the 2021 and 22 seasons, was the first quarterback since 1970 to have the worst passer rating in the NFL. He also has the worst rating to start this season. Michael, if you're talking to Robert Saleh, what are you telling your team at this point as it pertains to your quarterback? And are there any other options that you're telling him to go seek?
You know, Robert, you have a credibility problem. The more you stand in front of the media and you tell the team that Zach gives them the best chance to win, they're going to think you need to go to Pearl Vision Center because they don't believe it. Now, I know you're protecting the general manager, Joe Douglas. I get that. And you're being a good company guy. But you're the leader of the team. And if what you say to the media affects the locker room, no one in that locker room thinks that you have a chance to win with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Now, the other problem you got is your defense isn't playing very well. You're not playing like a top 5 defense. You're nowhere near the Baltimore Ravens or the 85 Bears or any of that. You just gave up over 150 yards to the Patriots, and you knew they were going to run the ball in the rain. Like, it's not a surprise. Oh, my God, they ran the ball. Really? It was raining. It was windy. They weren't going to throw it that much, and they still ran for $150. And last week, you gave up 130 yards rushing. So let's cut the nonsense out about being an elite defense. Let's fix that. But that's something you can control. Your credibility is at stake here with Wilson. So you got 2 issues. You got 2 fires burning, and you only got 1 fire truck, and you got to put them both out. And that's going to really come down to you being in the best interest of the team. Do what you have to do to protect the team. And that means bring quarterbacks in. Now, I know the offensive line, don't call Matt Ryan, he'll get killed. He'll say no. Don't call Carson Wentz, that's not what you want. But you're going to have to call somebody. You got to get somebody else in there. I don't care who it is. At least it'll uplift the team.
Yeah, and if I'm the players in that locker room, I'd rather you be real with me than lie to me to try to make me feel better because it's not working. We all know what our eyes see. We don't need Pearl Vision Center. We see what we see just fine. And as it pertains to that Jets defense, Michael, they're going to be in for a little bit of an awakening here with the Kansas City Chiefs this week. A 9-point dog taking on that potent offense who, I mean, you saw the numbers they put up with Patrick Mahomes not even playing the majority of the second half. Let's close this thing out with Matt Eberflus, head coach of the Chicago Bears, your favorite team in the NFL, Michael. They are what we thought they were coming off of the worst results in the NFL last year. They have been brutal to this point. Justin Fields has not delivered, and they fall to 0-3 after a tumultuous week on the field and off. Chicago holds their own first-round pick and the Carolina Panthers first-rounder in next year's draft. Panthers, by the way, also 0-3, so good potential standing for that one. What changes need to be made for the Bears to the point where could Eberflus save his job given the way that things have played out so far?
Well, the good thing, Matt, you got a family that owns the team. They don't like to fire anybody. They'll hang on to a coach probably a year too long if they have to. So, but you're in this situation. Your GM put you in here too as well because he wanted a year to see what Justin Fields could do. But now we know. And I've been saying this for a while. You're going to have to work around it. It's hard to work around. The problem is you're not good enough on defense. You can't get stops. You can't get turnovers. Your whole defense is built on creating turnovers. Your whole defense is built on getting the ball away. It's never built on stopping anybody. It never has been. But your front isn't good enough. So you better figure out how you can play to where you're not getting the ball thrown over your head. And you got to try to stay competitive. Look, you're in the Tampa game. You got a chance to win that game. It's 2017. Your quarterback throws a pick. You got a chance in the Packer game, you let it slip away. You got to forget about that game that happened in Kansas City. You got a lot of injuries, you weren't ready to play. You got to try to get ready to play against Denver, and you got to lift the morale of the team because you got to hold everybody accountable, including yourself. But it's hard. It's hard when you know you don't have enough good players.
Michael, 30 seconds. The Kansas City Chiefs tight end, Travis Kelce, he steps in the office. What advice you giving him about Taylor?
Well, I think the best thing you can do now is lay low. We all know you're dating her. Like, we don't all need to know about it. Like, just lay low. There's enough Travis Kelce on the airwaves, whether it's your commercial with all the things. Like, lay low. It's all good. You got. As Belichick said, you're catching the hell out of the ball.
I have never known Travis Kelce to lay low, so I'm very interested to see how this whole thing plays out. Michael, a fantastic edition of Step Into My Office. Way to tell these guys what they need to hear, set them straight.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.